Welcome back to the channel. You know me, it's that MIC Craig, aka Mr. Impact. Back with another episode of the interview series, episode number 2. I'm joined by the natural born fighter. It's RP Davies. How are we doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
It's honestly my pleasure. It's so much. Doing this channel thing, as I said before, it's all me, and I've been trying to get some interview series back up and going, and so I'm glad to have you, and thank you for taking the time out to do this. And
of course,
it's building a channel, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
So for start off by asking, obviously, British wrestling's had its ups and downs, but it seems to be fully coming back around now. That was made pretty clear when it was announced that we have the return of World of Sport and other things going on with companies coming over to the UK, WrestleMania coming over in the future, and all of that good stuff. How important is stuff like this for the UK scene and for the wrestlers involved in that scene? When you've got, like I said, you've got the World of Sport returning, you've got WrestleMania coming over, you've got AEW putting on yearly pay-per-views, you've got stuff like companies like TNA coming over with Gut Check and all that stuff. How important is that to the scene as a whole, really, in your opinion?
Incredibly important, because I think the more eyes on any product, the better for said product. Now, obviously, British wrestling, those guys and girls were on the independent scene and whatnot, but to draw not just the core fan base of them promotions in, but to draw in new fans, and that's what we need to do. That's what everybody needs to do. We need, if British wrestling is to get bigger, independent wrestling get bigger, you need to grow every audience, right across the country. Obviously, some do really, really well already, and then there's some that do well, but they obviously, like anything, could grow. But things like this, as you say, WrestleMania, AEW, World of Sport returning, that brings new eyes onto pro wrestling. And then obviously it's not as simple to go and watch, for example, WWE every week because they're over in America or whatever. So that's when fans look at it and they go, well, what could we go and see? What's local to me? What don't I have to travel 4 hours to go and see? And then usually nearly every town or city has their own promotion, or maybe even a couple of promotions. And so that's how I think. Well, that is how you gain new fans who maybe come and have take a chance on a local promotion, and when they get there, they realise the product's very good. Certainly most of the time, the shows that I go on, I'm very proud of, because I think they all attain a very high standard, and I think the majority of people who buy tickets from me to come watch shows are usually very impressed and want to come back again.
Yeah, it's like I said, British wrestling it's gone through its ups and downs.
Yeah,
and to see it coming back up finally, you've got all these different talents, UK talents being signed by big promotions and on TV nearly every week. So, speaking of WWE and being on WTV, it was the SmackDown for Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
You believe you were part of the security detail, as Triple H said, the wrestlers make the best security guards. How, and then obviously I believe you were at Clash at the Castle as well. How does something like that come about? Like how did that happen, and what's the day like leading up to the show? Like, because obviously you had loads of different. Look back at the past of WWE, the amount of talent, amount of main eventers who were security before that. Like, how does that something like that happen?
Well, first of all, it's a lot of luck. You know, you have to be spotted or know the right people, or at least be spotted by the right people. And then obviously it's about, I think, the body of work that you're putting on the independent scene to be spotted. The group that attended both of them events that you just mentioned then were a very varied group of some incredible performers as well. And I felt incredibly lucky to be a part of that. But the variety was good as well, and there was, there's a real range of people, men and women there, and yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to see the choices that obviously the WWE had chosen for them events. So yeah, it was for me it was a massive dream, because I mean I've grown up watching WWE. I love WWE as well. It was my childhood thing, and yeah, to be able to say that I've been lucky enough to work at 2 or 3 big events of theirs now is yeah, incredible.
Yeah, it popped me when I saw all the people on local talent on the TV being a big fan of independent wrestling in the UK. Like, what's the day like when you arrive? Like, how does it all come into being in place? Because obviously you were involved in 2 pretty big things happening on the SmackDown before that with the Bloodline, and then with AJ Styles and Cody Rhodes. Like, how do you find out that you're going to be involved in those storylines?
It just it all happens on the day, and that's interesting in itself. Obviously they're an incredibly professional company, and all the men who have been invited arrive in suits, and the ladies in dresses, and you show up very professionally, and then you meet some of the staff and whatnot, and then it's just a waiting game really until you are needed, or if you are needed at all. And I was lucky both times to be asked to be part of it, and it was as simple as that. We sat around, we watched how the show comes together, and met people backstage, and just saw the whole machine that is the WWE. And obviously, as a fan growing up, it is an incredibly impressive machine as well, And so I enjoyed it so much, but I also learned so much from them experiences, because yeah, I don't think there's anything that can really prepare you for the magnitude of them events.
Yeah, I mean, just watching it, it's just seems so huge. Just seeing the finished product essentially, and no idea what's going on, like how everything's down to this very last second. It's a wild thing to think of, but
it is incredible.
Also, like, obviously that happened quite recently in your career, but to go back before the start of your career, obviously you transitioned from boxing. How, like, what led to that transition from the boxing world to the pro wrestling world? How did that come about, even boxing to turn pro wrestler?
Yeah, well, I'd been, I mean, as I said, from being a child, I'd always been a massive wrestling fan. Loved pro wrestling. I had all the action figures, had all the video games, the old Rory's War, and everything like that. And then, I'll be honest with you, I'm from Blackpool, and I didn't think there was an avenue for me to ever get into pro wrestling as a youngster. I just didn't. I presumed it was for giant Americans, to be to be honest, because that was the majority of what I had seen growing up. And my family is very boxing orientated. My granddad was a boxer. My dad was a boxer, and I just simply fell into that route because it was far more accessible. Certainly in the area I was from, to get into it. And truth be told as well, I absolutely have a massive passion for boxing, and I always will. It's like, you know, it was my favorite sport was boxing. My favorite sports entertainment was wrestling. You know, and that was me growing up. And I got into boxing, and I loved it, and I always incorporated parts of wrestling into it. Like whenever I'd come to the ring, I'd come down to a wrestler's entrance theme, and to be honest, that was mostly to pop my mates who were also big. I mean, we've grown up together, and we stay up, and we still do, you know, for all the big pay-per-views, and put a couple of bets on, and that sort of stuff. So you know, it's always been a massive part of my life. But anyway, I was involved in boxing for the best part of 20 years, from a kid right to an adult. I boxed unlicensed. I was a British unlicensed champion twice. Then I decided to move over to the professional rankings, and I did that, and I had 13 pro fights, and I won 12 of them, and I won an international title in that time. I had a really good record. I broke into the top 20. I think it was top 25, 20 in the country. And then I had basically an injury that made me have to withdraw from boxing. It wasn't severe, but it was enough at the time for me to maybe decide another route might be the best course of action. So I came out of it, and luckily I'd set up my boxing gym, which I trained out of with my father, who was my coach, and we kind of converted that into a fully fledged boxing gym business for what I like to say, a gym for everybody. So you don't have to be an elite boxer to come to my gym. Like, we use boxing. I have, as I say, a massive passion for it, and I believe that boxing can be something that's very beneficial to anybody. Even if you have no intention of competing, I think it can help with discipline and confidence and numerous things. And so we ran that, and I ran that for about a year when we started, and we've been going 9 years now. We're still going to this day. It's still my main source of income, and I love that place. You know, that place is my legacy of boxing. That's how I see it. That's what I got out of the game, and I'm very proud of that. But after a year of running it, I got a call from a very good friend of mine who ran a wrestling company called Grand Pro Wrestling, and I'd known him for years, and he knew. Obviously, he'd known of me boxing, but he also knew I was always a big wrestling fan. And he got in touch with me, and he said, "Ryan, would you ever fancy, you know, having a wrestling match?" And I was like, "Fuck off, Johnny." I was like, I'm 5'10", mate, and you know, at the time I boxed at welterweight as a boxer. And he's like, "It doesn't matter." He said, "That doesn't matter at all." He said, "You have got a legitimate fighting career behind you." He said, "And I can work with that. There's stuff we can do with that." So I kind of let myself go a little bit after boxing and everything, and I thought, you know what, this could be the perfect thing for me as a challenge to get back in shape. And I swear it was meant to be in my head just one match and done. And it was just, and like, I could tick it off the bucket list that I got to have a wrestling match and all that sort of stuff. But the problem was I fell in love with it, learned, and although I was always a fan, I was absolutely fascinated when I started doing it and realising how hard this is. And I'm a very competitive person, I always have been. And it definitely relit a fire in me that went out after boxing. And 5 years later, here we are. I'm still here, and yeah, I've gone on to achieve some good things.
Yeah, I mean, we're winning titles in TNT, Odyssey, and Wrestle Island, and everywhere else it seems that you've been so far. So, what would you say was the the biggest difference and also the biggest similarity between wrestling and boxing that you noticed when you first stepped into a wrestling ring?
The biggest, I'll start with the biggest similarity. The biggest similarity for me was that buzz, and that is what I had missed so much when I retired from boxing. And I was surprised, but when I went out in front of a live crowd again, a live audience who, you know, are so energetic and so involved in what they're seeing, that gave me the same feeling that boxing gave me, and that is an addictive feeling, by the way. And I think nearly every wrestler or boxer, but every wrestler will admit that that's kind of the hook for you, because there isn't a feeling like going through that curtain and hearing them, you know, either cheer or boo, whatever is your forte. But it's it's very, very addictive, and so that again, I think that's why I'm addicted to wrestling now. Like, I just got such a buzz from it, and I've kind of rode that wave ever since that day.
And what is your forte, heel or face?
I have never been a face. 5 years, and I've only ever been a baby face. And it's been a massive honour, by the way, because I can't tell you why. I don't know myself either. But for some reason, fans seem to get behind me in a massive way. And without a doubt, you just mentioned the successes I've had in like TNT and Wrestle Island and Odyssey and Grand Pro and Knockout Wrestling and nearly everywhere I've gone. I know the reason that I have been pushed by them companies and been given opportunities by them companies is because of the reaction and support of the fans of them companies. The fans have made me. If I am anything, it's because of them. It's because of them. I've been given some brilliant opportunities from some amazing companies, but I also know that the reason for that is because they have noticed the reaction that I'm getting from their crowds, and it kind of. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I really don't. I'm so blessed to have that reaction. But and as I say, I can't actually explain to you the reason. I don't know why. I don't know why I get it. But what I will say is, I know that's why I am seen as valuable to them companies, because they know that if they have me on a show, for one, people are going to show up, and for two, they're going to be really, really loud, and that's what you want. And I'm just, like I said, I'm very blessed for the fans, and so I've really enjoyed being a babyface. I've really, really enjoyed being a babyface. It's been, it's almost been like, it started off as like the epilogue to my boxing career, but it's now become a career all of itself. And we're just riding the wave. We're riding the wave.
Yeah, it's wrestling is something different. Like, trying to explain to someone who hasn't really gotten, who isn't really fully into wrestling, it's just as a fan, it's like, because everyone in that building is there for the same reason, and you don't get that a lot anymore.
No, it's they're amazing. They've saved me. Wrestling fans have saved me, definitely, because that year I had away from boxing, I was very sad, because I didn't want my boxing to be over, but it was, and I realised that I was going to live and there's nothing wrong with that, but I was going to live a very normal life from then on, and the crowds. And obviously, I love to perform as a boxer, but I obviously love to perform. I love to be in front of live crowds and entertain people, and that had gone, and wrestling gave me that back. And so that's why I try so hard to be somebody that the fans can talk to, and I try and make an effort with them at shows, after shows. I'm happy to go and speak to them and talk to them, and whatever, because genuinely they have saved me from quite a sad time in my life, and I'm genuinely, I'm buzzing, nearly every day I'm buzzing because of pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is kind of giving me my fire back, giving me my life back as well, and I feel more like me because of it. And so, yeah, forever grateful for the fans.
It is, yeah, it's something just that's difficult to explain if you're not in it.
Yeah.
It's great to just be a wrestling fan in general. Is an amazing feeling. I've no idea what it's like to be a wrestler, but you get to live that out of, as you said, working with WWE was a dream come true, and it's the fact that wrestling can give that to people is great. To see.
Don't know what it's like to be a pro wrestler, but you do know what it's like to be a pro wrestling fan, and there is a synergy between the two, because we don't. This is another thing. The reason I'm so willing to try and give back to the fans, because there is no me in this without them, and I am fully aware of that. I know that, and I don't want to go out and perform in front of two people. I want to perform in front of a packed out crowd who are, like you say, fully invested, in there for the story, in there for the matches. They want to see it, and it's an honour. It is an honour and a privilege to kind of perform for them people. But as I said, then there is a synergy, because no matter how good I perform, it's absolutely irrelevant unless the crowd are there with me doing it. So. It's a special thing, I think, pro wrestling, for like a fan competitor sort of union, if you will. Like it's you need both, or else it'll just never work.
It does go both ways, and everyone, like I said, everyone in a building for a wrestling show is there for the exact same reason, and that's not something you get to see an awful lot anymore.
Oh, definitely.
So you mentioned all the opportunities you've had in different promotions. You've had different rivalries and different match styles. Certainly the match I have seen bits. I've been fortunate to watch all of it, the entire show. But what's the most insane match type you've been a part of? I know one I've seen of yours would have been the heavy metal match.
That was obscene. It's hard in terms of like strange match types. That is without doubt my one, because I think it was the first of its type as well. I think it was the first time it had ever been done. And it was real nettles, so that made it even more fun,
Yeah, especially with Soft Pro, they're so. Something about Soft Pro. Again, I've only been fortunate to go to one show, but that one show I went to, like the crowd for the rest of like almost all the main event, the crowd were on their feet for it. It's something about Soft Pro, and Soft Pro, yeah, they're very unique, and obviously they've brought in some familiar faces if you're a fan of soaps.
Yeah.
Like, what was your immediate reaction when you found out that Les Baxter's Beast coming to Soft Pro Wrestling?
Well, it's mental, isn't it? It's mental, but again, I can only put that down to I can only give credit to the promoters of Soft Pro, Shotty, and the rest of the team. There's quite a few of them, and they're great, and they get what their audience is, and they're trying different things, and that is, no one's trying stuff like that, because it's a bit outside the box. But that's how I would kind of. That's how I would explain Soft Pro. They are outside the box, but I think that's why they're having such a success with it. But it was obscene to have Les Baxter's being. But what a win it's been for them, because it's brought so many new eyes, as we talked about before. It's about bringing new fans to the table, and I think there's numerous companies about that do things to bring you new fans and new crowd. But I think Sub Pro definitely are, leading the charge at the minute of trying different avenues to bring in new fans.
Yeah, when the Les Battersby news dropped, like it was picked up by mainstream media across the country.
It made news, and that's genius from Shotty and the team. It is genius, and full credit because it's worked, hasn't it?
Yeah, clearly. That was a moment I certainly enjoyed as a fan. As for you, what's a moment that you've enjoyed as a wrestling fan? What's like a moment that, like, wow, wrestling is so good that you witnessed as a fan?
I've witnessed as a fan. Wow. I've seen. I mean, I've watched a lot of wrestling now over the years. I mean, watching it live. I mean, I've seen so much. I could start naming like WWE shows and stuff like that. Which obviously there's so many great moments and things like that. But I think maybe it'd be better to mention shows that I've been on or been a part of, or at least seen on the independent scene. And there's so many moments there. And that's what I mean. That when you realise it's special, you know what I mean. So you see stuff like. There was one example. I could name hundreds, but there was one example. I once saw Joey Hayes, who's a friend of mine and someone who I've looked up to ever since I got into the business. I think so much of him. He's such a good guy anyway, but I mean, just a phenomenal wrestler. And he had a match in Wigan once, and I remember he got knocked down on the outside, and all the kids in the crowd came and lifted him up and helped him to his feet, and that I was nothing to do with that match, but I remember sat there and thinking to myself, that is absolutely amazing. Like that is what it's about, isn't it? And they helped him to his feet and helped him carry himself to the ring. If you can hear a little girl talking now, it's my daughter who's come home and she's shouting me straight away. So we're getting interrupted by 6-year-olds. That's what it is.
Okay.
Okay. Hi. Say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
This is Craig. It's my friend. Right. Can I just finish this interview, please? Right, love it. See you in a bit.
Right. Bye.
Right. Sorry.
That's all good. So I want to be respectful of time. So, it's one question I always ask in every interview, same question, and then okay, we'll go straight into a quick fire question to round it off. So the final main question is: in the next 3 years, where do you want to be? Whether that be personally, professionally, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? Where are you aiming to be in the next 3 years?
That's such a well. I mean, obviously, the truth is, and I think that. And that's what makes me slightly different to most people on the scene. I've achieved everything I ever wanted to achieve in pro wrestling. Now, if it ended tomorrow, I've won titles. I've been all over the country. I've had great responses from crowds. I've worked for some of the biggest companies in the UK. I've worked for the WWE. I've done more than I ever thought that I would do. And so to be honest, every day now going forward in wrestling is a bonus to me, and I think that's a really good place to be because I don't have an end game. There isn't an end game. I mean, obviously, would I like to work for a massive company and make a lot of money doing it? Who wouldn't say that? Of course they would. But the truth is, I have no hope on that. It's just if it's meant to be, it will happen. And so I just take every day as it comes.
That's kind of why I like asking that question, because I tend to get different answers from different people, and it gives me a different perspective from different people. So appreciate your honesty there. So I said we'll just a quick fire. So it's this or that. So we'll go. I mean, I imagine I know you asked this one, but we'll start off WWF, WCW.
WWF.
Then we'll go LBWO, Let's Back to Be World Order, or Butcher Club.
LBWO. Leslie's my boy. I'm big friends with Les now. I couldn't turn on him now.
Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression.
Attitude Era. That was my era. That's why I grew up. So yeah, that Attitude Era all day.
Ultimate X or Ladders.
If I'm honest, Ladders, because I've seen so many. I'm more of a WWE guy, so yeah, I've seen so many great ladder matches. I'll go ladder.
And finally, Cactus Jack or Mankind.
God, that's tough. I think Cactus Jack's probably the more interesting character, but I'd say Mankind, because one of my great memories growing up was Taker and Mankind in the Hell in a Cell. Like that. I think that was one of the main moments of my childhood fandom that made me think, "Fuck, this is amazing. Wrestling is unbelievable." Because I remember watching that live and I thought he was dead. I thought that was genuinely. I thought he was dead, and to watch that as a young lad was amazing. So yeah, I'll go Mankind.
Yeah, it's what a moment that was. Yeah, so thank you for doing this. Appreciate you taking the time. So really appreciate it. If you want to let everyone know where they can find you on social medias, if you want to find you, and in the next month or so, where can people come and see you?
Right, on social media, on Twitter, I'm RPD Fighter, I believe. I'm sure you will tag for me when I thingy. On Instagram, I'm RP Davies. I've got a wrestling page on Facebook under RP Davies again. And then in the next month, the next show is in Morecambe, my beloved Morecambe, which I adore wrestling at. So I'm there next Saturday, and then so I've got that show, and then I'm actually off. I've got a couple of weeks off for the first time in months because I'm going on holiday with my partner and my little girl. So I've got a couple of holidays booked over August, but then it gets really busy then from September. I think end of September, start of September onwards, right through to Christmas. It's non-stop. So you can see me at Grand Pro Wrestling, Odyssey Pro Wrestling, TNT, Wrestle Island, Knockout Wrestling, Soft Pro. And there's probably more. I think there is more actually, but I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that yet. So you will see. Keep your eyes peeled for that one.
Okay, there you have it. So thank you for coming on. Appreciate you taking the time out to do this. I've been the MC. This has been RPD. Until next time, goodbye, friends.
See you later, mate. Thank you.